Well, I'm here, alone again, alone at last alone. That's right. Another week, another chance to razzle and dazzle on my own. The tears of the clown are real. I'm been basically catatonic this last week because Ronna has yet again eluded me. She's mid relocation back to Marblehead from London. Again, I don't know what happened with the plastic surgery. I'm getting more and more concerned. She's not writing me back, which is nothing new. I know she did have a lot of fun at the Met Gala. I know that she's been talking to Macron about his meeting with China. I know she was giving him counsel on that. So I actually can't tell you exactly what the excuse is this time. But you know what? It's all fine and it's all good. I still have my Jeopardy calendar that I rip off every week. I can do a few with you now. Let's see. So today is May 12th. The answer is category TV catchphrases. On How I Met Your Mother, okay, I'm already going to lose this one. There's just no doubt about that. I don't know, and I'll be honest with you, I also don't care. On How I Met Your Mother, Neil Patrick Harris popularized this 3-word catchphrase within a catchphrase. I have no idea. You got it, dude? Wish I had my shades? Okay, the answer is, wait for it. Oh, I see. You know what? That was very odds. Wait for it. Ronna is, wait for it, and not here today. Okay? Ooh, look at this. Answer, Kevin Costner was going to play the president in Air Force One, but had to leave the film. So the role went to this star. What is Harrison Ford? For sure. Who is Harrison Ford? Whatever. Anyway, Ronna is not, wait for it, here. Okay? Ronna has been on, wait for it, Air Force One. Ronna is currently either in France with Macron counseling on China. She might even be in China. I don't know if she might have gone back. Anyway, with the Prime Minister, Xi Jinping. The point is this. We need to talk about some of the cliffhangers we've received in the past few months. And I'm not talking about when your toenails get so long that they come over your sandals. Not those kind of cliffhangers. Okay. I'm talking about our classic cliffhangers. We have received some real doozies in the past 6 months. We've heard from all of you about some of the men that you and your friends have worked with or been with. And frankly, we need an intervention. The theme of this is terrible and disturbed men. Okay. I don't know what's going on out there, but it's a shame to my species. Now, we put them notice over on Patreon, but now it's time we put them on notice for the world to hear. So this entire classic cliffhangers is about men behaving badly. Baby did a bad thing. Now, for this first cliffhanger, this was fun because we had government agencies involved in this. We had all sorts of... The letter writer worked for an organization where basically everyone was spies, and she was dating a real sus person. So all the spies, all her female spy friends went in with put on their Sherlock Holmes hats and pipes and tried to figure out what the hell was going on with the shady guy this letter writer was dating and where he was getting his money and what his past was. And we obviously have a very well-connected audience, high rollers, movers, shakers, world leaders. Okay. So it's no surprise that we have Carriage House members who work for very high-level government agencies, and they had serious qualms about their colleagues' new boyfriend. So please listen to this and just be in awe of everyone involved.
All right, dear. Are you ready? You know what? I guess I'll.
Yes, I'm going to read it.
I'm tired of waiting.
Here we go. Dear Ronna and Bryan, thank you, first of all, for the gift of this fabulous podcast. I've loved it for some time, but only recently became a Carriage House member. It is so worth a few dollars a month, and I can't believe I didn't subscribe earlier. Note to everybody, well, everyone here does subscribe. Forgive me. Within the first few listens, I was brought to actual tears by the episode where you spoke about the widow with the young child navigating her new marriage and former in-laws. Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I don't know, it was a heart stopper. Your take was tender and smart without being saccharine, and it reinforced for me that you two are really much more than a podcast. Thank you, truly. Now on to my drama. I am in a friend group with a woman in her late 30s who we'll call Amelia. Amelia and I have been close friends for the past 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
She's a bright, beautiful person who recently was hired to begin a job in a high-level government agency that is law enforcement adjacent. It's a job that requires security clearance and is quite prestigious.
Okay.
I work in this exact same position, and others in our friend group work in similar roles in government. Yes, in case you haven't guessed it, we are all friends from work.
Okay.
Amelia has been divorced for about 4 years with no children.
So that means Amelia works for this high-powered agency, as does
the letter
law
writer.
Enforcement adjacent.
Yeah.
Excuse me. What does that mean?
I know. I don't know what that
CIA?
means. Yeah, it must be some sort of.
Yeah. Anyway, go on.
Amelia's been divorced for about 4 years with no children.
They all work there together.
They do.
Yeah.
Her divorce was something she initiated as she felt she had married a man she'd never loved. But it was amicable and otherwise a net positive. I supported her through the divorce as I truly felt it was the right decision for her life. Her dating life post-divorce, however, has been challenging. She has dated a string of, losers. Multiple married men too young for her.
Mm-hmm.
Men who were otherwise emotionally unavailable, and some who were just plain crazy. I wrote much of it off as a post-divorce phase. Cut to her new boyfriend. She met a man online approximately 6 weeks ago. Initially, she expressed to our friend group that she was uncertain about him because things were moving quite fast and that she knew she had a tendency to fall for love bombing. Which I guess is when someone just is constantly telling you they love you and you're the best. I guess that's what that is.
Well, no, I think it's when people, I think particularly a narcissist, likes to tell you you're the sun, the moon, the stars, and then they start usually grooming you or berating you, but they give you the lightning bolt for the first,
It builds you up.
3 to 6 months, and then you keep spending your whole life trying to get back to the lightning bolts, and they're already telling you.
Oh, God, that sounds awful.
Well, we've all been through it. It's probably what you do to people.
Love bomb them.
You're a love bomber for sure.
I don't know that I am, but I have been loved bombed. Maybe I've done it myself. I don't know.
I don't think you're a love bomber. No, I don't think so. I think it's nice to love to. I'm not saying don't tell people.
No, I mean I like saying nice
and all
things
of that.
to people.
No, a love bomb is what when people say that's so funny because when we're married, your last name will be blah blah blah, and you think it's the second day.
Right. No, I definitely don't.
Yeah. Well, then they send you flowers, and then they send you when it's too much.
Right.
It's not just
it doesn't
exciting,
feel
it's too much.
And it doesn't ever feel all that personal,
It can't be personal because it happens too quickly.
Right.
But there are people who are maestros at love bombing.
I would say that the complaint most people have about me in dating is like, do you like me?
They don't know if you like them.
Yes, I think I could actually.
Do you like
more.
them?
I don't know, Ronna.
Yeah. Have you ever liked anyone?
I mean, I like you.
It's a hard question to ask because when it doesn't work out with someone, then you look back on it and think, well, it didn't work out. So, but I don't know. Does anybody like anyone?
I know.
I don't know. I just don't know anything today.
I know. Her concern.
I quit the show.
I'm going to quit the show because I got to tell you, from Teresa Giudice to.
I think today I realized I'm just out of the tank is empty.
No, it isn't, Ronna. We're going to fill you back up. Her concern, however, is
I'm back.
To go out the window overnight when his courtship quickly began to involve lavish displays of wealth.
Yeah.
Gift giving very quickly became inappropriately expensive items and trips.
Well, I'd like
this is all
a
very
list. I'm going to need a list.
I know, me too. I want to know
what's inappropriate to someone else is not what's inappropriate to me.
Yeah, if it's 3 nights at the Disneyland Hotel, then that's one thing. But
yeah, that's too
Cartier
much.
watch.
Yeah.
She informed us all a few weeks ago that he
The
this too
Disneyland Hotel.
much.
You ever stayed there?
I haven't, but I've driven past it.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe we stayed there when I was very young. When
You
I
never
when I
went
was a
there
kid.
for a character breakfast with Goofy?
Maybe we did when I was a kid. I can't really even remember, to be honest.
Yeah, I had a character breakfast with Goofy. I think I told you that.
Just by yourself?
Minnie flirted with Mr. Cleveland the whole time. I think I told you she tried to sit on his lap.
Yeah, she's a big flirt.
Well, it's a bit much.
Yeah, that is a bit much.
Yeah.
That's love bombing.
Pushing me out of the way.
Yeah.
I said, you can have him, sweetheart. This is not.
Yeah, no competition.
This is your area of influence.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't expect, Minnie Mouse, top of the heap at Disneyland. I don't expect.
She is.
I don't expect to beat Minnie Mouse out for anyone's affection when I'm at Disneyland.
That's true. I mean, she's the star.
She's like a mermaid. I mean, a mermaid gets, what can I do? She's a mermaid. I hope you're happy together.
Yeah. Good luck.
What are you going to do? Mermaid steps in on your man. The mermaid's going to win that every time.
And by the way, there's not enough attention in the world for a mermaid. Like, that's the problem.
Poor mermaids.
Yeah. She informed us all a few weeks ago that he had invited her to
this episode.
Yeah, honest to God. I love the carriage house, though, I have to say. I feel the most myself. She informed us all a few weeks ago that he'd invited her to travel to Europe for a week, plus a long romp across multiple countries. Yeah, okay. I knew it. This guy's taking her to Europe for a week, and they're going to like 10 places. We were supportive.
They just go to Epcot Center. I don't know why people bother.
I don't either.
Yeah.
We were supportive but concerned that things seemed to be moving very quickly and that international travel with someone she barely knew was already on the menu.
Uh-huh.
Working in law enforcement adjacent jobs, as I mentioned, of course we couldn't help ourselves. We decided to do some online sleuthing. These are good friends to have. Yeah. A cursory search of this guy revealed that he purports himself to be a CEO. Yep. His social media posts are thirsty. He cannot eat a meal without mentioning the name of the restaurant, and every picture seems to be an event or featuring his expensive boat with some sort of nausea-inducing hashtag like CEO life.
Oh,
yeah, cute. CEOs don't do that.
Yeah.
However, when
I don't know, Jeff and Lauren Bezos might do that. Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos.
You're right. They might. She does.
That poor boat, the saddest boat that there ever was. The loneliest boat.
I can't believe he actually gave money to Hawaii. I can't believe he gave money to anything.
Well, he never gives money to anything, so that's good. But it is so tall, that boat, that they can't even get a good paparazzi shot. What's the point of having a yacht if people can't catch you hanging out with David Beckham or who?
Sure.
If they can't see cellulite, it's not worth having.
Do you know what? I don't think there's
lens.
Sure. I don't think there's any on her body, Ronna. I mean, I think she is smoothed over.
I'm just saying it looks like it just looks
like an oligarch's boat.
It doesn't look cozy. What you want, of course, is luxury, but you want it to feel cozy at the same time. And it doesn't feel cozy in any way to me. It feels sterile. But in any event, I mean, Amazon's never been known for their their design prowess. But in any event, back to the super sleuths, otherwise known as people that work for the National Security Agency. But in any event.
However, when she FaceTimed us one morning from his apartment and we got a glimpse of the interior, something seemed amiss.
I wish these people were our friends, Bryan.
You don't even understand. Me too.
Yeah.
It was a very nondescript one-bedroom apartment. Otherwise fine, but not the apartment of a self-proclaimed multimillionaire in his early 40s. I bet he was renting it.
This is one of your datelines, is what this is.
Oh, completely.
So this is where we have to watch
This is welcome to a string of women coming up next in interviews saying they were duped.
Yeah.
And then have been robbed of hundreds of thousands of dollars. We dug deeper. As it turns out, this man owns nothing. He rents this apartment, leases his vehicle, has no boat titled in his name, and is apparently, in multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to the IRS.
Oof.
We also learned, this is a dateline, that he's a convicted felon.
But I also just need us to go back for a second and realize that these absolutely terrific women said that they did. They just did a little sleuthing and a little Google. And basically they have access to things that people
Everything.
I mean, everything. Yeah. I mean, it's terrific.
Like, I mean, they did a little sleuthing and know his lease
Yeah.
agreements.
Yeah. But what we mean by a little sleuthing is that they
went to their database that we don't have access to.
Exactly. Yeah. They did like a, what
for
do they
them,
call
it
those?
probably was a
record,
Google search.
a record request or
Yep. We also learned that he is a convicted felon for fraud-related crimes. He told Amelia that he began his career as a police officer for a large metropolitan police agency where he worked for many years in high-level intelligence prior to his retiring at age 35.
And he has a copy go on top of all of this.
Well, I know, right? When he hit it big in business. The truth, Ronna and Bryan, this man never worked at this job.
Ugh.
And after finishing the police academy, was fired from his intended agency when he could not pass a background investigation.
Oh, at only the academy level?
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Wow.
That's tough. The news articles that he sends to Amelia, which purport to be demonstrative of his business success, all appear to be self-authored and published through a sketchy promotional website. I guarantee you she's giving him money or is about to.
Of course she is. She doesn't have any money left.
Yeah. What we have also learned in, let's face it, gossiping with one another, is that he appears to be exhibiting very controlling-like behavior in addition to all this other insanity. Demanding she share her location, put red receipts on her text, and suggested to her that he would pay for her to get breast implants as he prefers large-breasted women.
Oh. He is generous.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's going to use her money.
Her credit card, no doubt about it. Well, just give me the number. I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
This was all gut-wrenching enough. And then the icing on the cake, I found out that he opened a credit card for her so she would have access to certain airport lounges. What, did he get her priority pass? Vomit.
You're going to devastate me.
I don't know.
I just need people to
You do sound very vulnerable.
I just need people to understand that priority pass.
Yeah, is bullshit.
Is not anything at all.
Occasionally you can get into the Alaska Air Lounge.
AAA will get you in more places than priority pass will get you. Yeah.
Mostly when you use priority pass, you go to the lounges and it says no priority pass.
Yes. And also if you do get in, it's some sort of a multi-lounge.
Yes. It's like something called the lounge.
It's an internet cafe usually.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd rather sit at a McDonald's.
Me too. I don't know if that means she gave him her social security number or
early
what.
Morning egg McMuffin by myself.
That sounds delicious.
At the airport.
Nothing's better. I'm not sure if she gave him her social security number or what, but I'm sick to my stomach writing this. This man appears to be an absolute fraud and possibly dangerous at that. Possibly. I mean, at least he's abusing her financially, guaranteed.
Well, let's try and remember that this woman has a very big job.
Yeah.
Right?
The writer or the Amelia?
The woman who's being romanced.
Amelia
has a very big and Amelia has a very big and important job. So my point is just that she's not this isn't like I work for the CIA and this is happening to my sister. This is 9 to 5. One of them's Dolly Parton. One of them's Jane Fonda. Okay. One of them's Lily Tomlin. This is happening to Jane Fonda, but they all work at the same office. They all are capable of finding the information that they have all found.
Yeah.
So what does that tell us about our friend here? Okay, keep going.
Right, totally. She's flying blind deliberately. Okay, we've all very delicately asked Amelia a few challenging questions about him over the past week or so to see if she's aware of any of this. And as it turns out, she is. She lied to some of us and has essentially expressed that even though some of what she sees seems a bit off, she is choosing to believe him. Well, she's seen these facts. Ronna, Bryan, help. What do we do? I don't know if she knows the full extent of what we know. And I feel pretty bad for going behind her back and digging this deep into this guy. Is there
Mhm.
anything to be done here given her seeming unwillingness to hear any level of concern or criticism? What if this jeopardizes her new job? Are we overreacting? Why isn't she seeing through this guy given the nature of all of our professions? Well, that is, you can't control
That's
that.
the whole question. Well, that's the actual
Well,
question.
that's true.
That's
Should we
the
actually?
only question.
It is, but like there's, okay, let me finish now.
It's also
Uh,
the answer.
Are we overreacting? Why isn't she seeing through this guy given the nature of all our professions? Should we actually confront her? Are we bad friends? We anxiously await your always perfect perspective. Love, private dicks.
Funny.
Hilarious. She is, by the way, you
Very
are a good
funny.
friend. Very
Private
funny.
dicks, it's funny.
And you are a good friend. First of all, you already are a good friend.
I wish you were our friend. I have a list.
That's what we
of
said at the
people
beginning.
I'd love you to look into for me, starting with Bryan.
I was going to say, for me, starting with Ronna, I would
That's
like
the
to know
first
what
thing.
Russian bank or how much money is in a Swiss
If
account.
you know where Putin's money is, I'd like to know that too. Okay.
Me too.
Those are the first two things.
Me too. And if you can find out if Ron DeSantis has a personality, look into that as well.
Oh, Ron
I'd love for you to find
DeSantis.
that.
Now that was interesting. There was a clip of him the other day. He must be on Adderall or something.
Is he more pepped up now?
He was gumming his jaw around. Someone was talking to him and he was gumming his jaw around while they were talking. And I thought, what?
You know how
Just
he's
when I
like
thought
been
he
through all
couldn't be
this money?
Wettier.
Oh.
Well, you know, he's on Ozempic. Everyone knows that.
And he gets both. It seems like he's doing
Yes, of course.
the most to his face.
I know so many men, though, I think are doing
Well,
what
Biden
people
does
think
it
they're not
too,
doing.
probably.
Sure, but
Yeah.
okay, he's a corpse, so fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, DeSantis is like trying to do the best the best he can. Like he's trying to make himself over, I guess, when really all his campaign has been blowing money on is like private planes, which he doesn't even need. Anyway, whatever. Great. Burn burn your campaign to the ground.
Let's say the Marvel superheroes. Okay. What are they called again? They all get together.
The Avengers.
The Avengers.
Yeah.
Let's say the Avengers are sitting around at either Iron Man's chalet or Thor's cave or whatever they're doing.
Right.
Because there's always has to be a second story. Okay.
Yeah.
In the movie, there's always, the world's going to explode. We have to go through a time dash.
But also
this crystal, let somebody catch a ball. The world is saved.
But Bruce Banner's depressed or whatever it is. Yeah.
But then there's the problem, of course, that, the Hulk has erectile dysfunction
right.
or he's in love with, Natasha.
Black Widow.
Whatever it is. There's always something, we have to have a little chit chat as we walk from A to B or we fly in a plane over the earth. Or
I can't believe how much I know about the Avengers.
Pepper and Iron Man and Banta.
Right. Pepper.
My God. All of it. Whatever it is. They're just, at the end of the day, they're just flawed and human like the rest of us. They just happen to be extraordinary and have extraordinary powers. Our girls, this steno pool, they're the Avengers. So if I said to you, Hulk, I've got terrible news for you. This adorable woman who's paying all this attention to you, she's actually a double agent for, the guy that lives in the fire pit in the sky, whatever his name is. You know who I'm talking about?
Oh, Legos.
Something like that.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about it? Are people not going to tell him? They're not. Hulk's friends are going to say his inadequacy in his personal life is more important than his safety and longevity and every penny that he's saved leading to this moment. I'm sorry that the Hulk is lonely. I'm sorry. But only the other Avengers are the people that can serve that information to him. And I'm sorry, girls, but you're the Avengers.
And I'll tell you what's going to happen. The Hulk, upon hearing this, may Hulk out and say, You guys have always been against me, da-da-da. And then guess what? In the Avengers world, an hour and a half later, he comes back into the fold. He says, thank you. And they hug. That's how it goes.
Normally, in normal life, I would say people are allowed to do what they want. The problem here is that your friend is doing a lot of magical thinking. Mm-hmm. I get it. Okay. She wants a little romance. She wants a little excitement. She wants a little fantasy. Who doesn't?
And she doesn't want to feel like a fool. Nobody
She's a
does.
CIA analyst. She doesn't get to go into the field. She has to go through bin Laden's, car rental payments and figure out what that adds up to. And, that's what we're talking about here. Okay. It's not a sexy job. I think I actually think forensic accounting is pretty sexy the way when people follow the money.
I'm impressed.
But these are not people that are in the field. These are the people that are doing just what our friend did, which was spent 38 seconds figuring out how rotten this guy was. The second she saw that he only had IKEA furniture in his apartment, or no furniture for that matter.
And by the way, nothing on the walls.
Of course not.
No.
Nothing that didn't come from Pier 1 or in a frame,
Right.
whatever. You girls all need to take Adelia Bedelia out for a margarita and say, look, we're going to have this conversation one time. We all agreed. And then we're going to shut up. Okay? But this is actually an intervention. We're concerned about everyone here loves you. Everyone here wants you to be happy. Everyone here except for Audrey, because Audrey's jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say it.
Yeah.
If there's one there that isn't really happy for her, let's just say it. But everyone here wants you to be happy. Everybody here wants you to have a great, exciting life. We all want that. And you're not allowed to be mad at us because you would have done the exact same thing. And you have. We're all sleuths. That's what we do. But we are worried that your mental health and your financial health are in jeopardy. And further to that actually your career is in jeopardy because you are cavorting with a known felon.
Yeah.
Actually.
And actually, what you want to do is...
And I don't know how much of this you know or you don't know. You can act like she doesn't know anything, but we're going to present you with some facts. And then you'll have all the information. You could even just put it all in an envelope, slide it to her. I'd be sort of afraid she wouldn't read it, but...
I was about to say, I think you could mention it and also give her a copy of it.
Yeah. And you can go back over this when you want to and whatever. But none of this is because people don't want you to be happy. It's because we do want you to be happy. And we're very worried that this is going to lead to grave unhappiness.
And
not
it could
to
even lead
every
to
penny you save being gone.
And also a scary situation for her. I mean, you don't know what kind of threats this guy might...
We are concerned for your safety and your health. Yeah.
But this is clearly on Amelia's part willful ignorance. This is someone who does know better, who does know how to read signs, who does all of these things. And this is really the power of having a moment where maybe you have insecurity or low self-esteem, someone coming in and building you up, and you looking the other way many times over and over and over again. And also not wanting to seem like an idiot. And it's very sad, and it happens frequently to brilliant people. It's not even this is where...
This is not a question of intelligence. This is just a question of, look, I don't in any way blame her for we've all dated people a little longer than we should. Because either the life was fun or the sex was good or the whatever it was, and it really wasn't a healthy situation. Now add to that this person has actually scammed people before. And these people that do this are good at this.
And is scamming you. I mean, he's telling you he's a CEO.
You're not really being scammed because she knows all of this is true.
Yeah.
And she's like a zombie being, sleepwalking through a field, Pied Piper right towards this. And that is the really scary part. This guy has a hold over her because really you can't be scammed unless you you give someone your bank account number or you give someone your social security number. These are the things that this is why your bank says, we'll never ask you for your social security number because nobody needs it or not you know what I mean? Your account number, whatever it is that they say. We're never going to ask you for that. Why would he?
Yeah.
I'm so delighted she can go to Priority Pass Lounge, though.
And
when she's
why
waiting
on
for
a
ticket to visit him in jail outside of Fort Lauderdale.
I think also there is actually a responsibility on your part if this person is a friend to tell her this because A, she does need to know it, and B, she needs to know that you know it, and C, you don't want this to go a minute further and have this weigh on your conscience. I mean, you want to feel good about this too.
The problem is going to take this as you don't think I'm sexy enough to have this
Completely.
life. You're jealous. You don't think anybody would want to fly me to Europe. Da, 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 da.
Yep.
I absolutely do think
you don't think I deserve this. You don't think that I
think you deserve this, but you deserve it to be real.
And you deserve it to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, no one likes having these conversations with someone, especially a work friend, because guess what? You have to see them every day. It's not like they can go hole up and hide and you're not going to talk to them again. Like, you will see her the next day.
But if she is,
a little bit of the mysticism of this will have been broken. Yeah,
if she's letting him open credit cards for her, it's risky behavior that she is exhibiting.
And the fact that she is telling you that happened may mean that she's open to hearing more, because that is something, if that happened to me, I would even hide.
I actually think it's the opposite. I think she's sort of saying to them, I know, and I'm okay with it because I need this.
That is so sad. Poor Amelia.
I don't blame her for needing it or wanting it.
Me neither.
I just blame her for she's addicted. This is the love bombing thing. She's addicted to this adrenaline rush or whatever he's doing, and he's good at this. This is what he does. He's a grifter.
And also, opening a credit card is a test to see what else he can do. I mean, these things don't get smaller.
Very, very good point. This is like when somebody does fraud on your card and they do a $3 charge to see if you'll notice.
It's like when, with the sort of the scam calls about and you would see this on 90 Day Fiancé. There was one woman who was getting scammed. They'll call and say they're British, but won't have the British accent.
What was his name? Jefferson. He was Nigerian.
Something like that. What was his name? Yes. Yeah. I don't remember his name. Williams.
Williams. That was the saddest one of all time.
Well, because also...
She's still talking to Williams after all these years.
No, she finally cut it off. But the thing that they say is like, oh, if you believe I'm British when I'm not talking with a British accent, we got you.
Well, that's very true. Yeah. Right. If I give you a scam this silly, which is give me a social security card, I'm going to open a credit card, and you don't say no thanks.
Yep.
It means that you have your hook, line, and sinker.
Yep. So this isn't the end game here. Is this credit card?
Well, I would say, of course, we already know they're going to do this, but play this for your friend, of course.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to hear it, and I know
it's done with love, Amelia. They care about you. How lucky you are.
So true.
I got to be honest with you. We should all have friends like that. Do you know what I mean? The letter writer says that she thought some of the jet setting her friend was doing was, quote, inappropriate. But Ronna did inform me that she does want a list of the jet setting. And actually, I do too, so that we can know for sure whether it was inappropriate or not. Okay? I want to know, was the jet setting to the Disneyland Hotel? Was it a meet and greet with Minnie? As we all know, Mr. Cleveland was flirted with by Minnie, which really set Ronna off. Was the jet setting to, Aruba? Like, where were we going? Okay. The whole thing really did play out like a Dateline episode, but this was really one of my favorite questions ever. And also, I want to be friends with these ladies. I really do. I want them to look into Ronna's background. I'm sure she wants it reciprocated, but Ronna's got all kinds of Swiss bank accounts. I just am not. I need to get someone to do a background check on Ronna Glickman. So this next letter writer, another case of a fiance seeming truly like the perfect guy on paper. That really is how a Dateline episode starts. He was perfect on paper, but he shouldn't have written it in pen. He was perfect on paper. Her problem? She signed the document. He was handsome, charming. He was training to be a neurosurgeon. All of that was right. But get this. The day. You know what? I'm not even going to spoil it for you. It's so shocking and it's so disgusting. So here is this letter, the story of Big Sleazy in the Big Easy. And this was like a guy on paper that was worth waxing for. Or like for girls, I don't know, people still douche. I don't know. Anyway. I mean, boys douche for boys. Do people know that? I need to make sure. Someone remind me that when Ronna comes back to tell her that. Okay, on to the letter.
All right, sweetheart.
Dearest Ronna Bryan.
Bombs away.
Bombs away, baby. Dearest Ronna Bryan and darling guest. I have no words to express how grateful I am for your podcast. You two were my favorite guests on Bitch Sesh, and I listened multiple times to your episode on my long commutes pre-COVID.
Fabulous. We do love our Bitch Sesh girls. Garbage World. Casey and Danielle's GarbageWorld.com. Yeah.
Since the start of Ask Ronna, your warm presence in my headphones has brought me more comfort than I can say. Thank you so much for what you do. Now, for something less pleasant.
I love that transition, I will say. I love the idea of something that's not pleasant.
The start of this sentence is such a Ronna start to a sentence, the one I'm about to read.
Okay.
Even though I'm tall, pretty, thin, and have a good job, my life's biggest struggle seems to be with self-love. Are you serious? Because I think you just nailed it in the first part of that sentence.
No.
And I don't want to take it away from you. I'm proud that you could say those things.
Some things are empirically true. This person is tall, they're thin, they're pretty, and they have a good job. That doesn't mean that they don't have struggles.
You're knocking it out of the park. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I don't really understand what it is, what it feels like when you have it, or how you achieve it. Babe, we're all in this together, except for possibly Ronna.
Probably everybody but me feels this way.
And sadly, I probably would have continued secretly loathing myself if something terrible hadn't forced me to look inward last year. This is a good tease. Last year, the day I got home from the hospital with our healthy baby boy, a child we lovingly created with the gift of IVF, which, by the way, is under attack in a way that is unimaginable.
Which, by the way, this letter, I'm sure, was sent to us before.
Pre-Alabama and all of this craziness.
Absolutely.
What is happening in this world?
Terrifying.
Unbelievable.
I was listening to the Daily today, actually, and they mentioned that the University of Alabama at Birmingham or whatever had suspended their whole IVF program, basically because they don't want all those doctors to end up in jail or something.
Right.
Well, they reassess what they're going to do. And all I could think about was these poor people, these women who put their bodies through what you can't imagine to get to this place, to get to the brink of this.
Including, by the way, Mike Pence's wife. I mean, there are plenty of Republicans who do this too.
Mike Pence is very open about it. Also, the only thing they want is more babies. This is some idiot made a dumb, this was a dumb argument, and then somebody took it all the way. Though I have enjoyed all of these memes of this is a cookie in Alabama. You know, it's all the ingredients of a cookie.
Right.
Oh, what was the one someone said? The difference between a baby and an embryo is that if you put a baby in a freezer, it dies, something like that. But an embryo, you know, whatever.
So I can't even believe this conversation. It's crazy.
So upsetting. But all of these families that were right at the brink of, I mean, somebody could have had a transfer scheduled for tomorrow and spent years and years trying to get to that place. And all they want is a family. That's all they want, which is supposedly Republicans are the party of family values. Wasn't that their big thing?
What a joke.
But they get to decide what a family is once again.
Yep.
What kind of bullshit is that?
It's beyond.
Ugh, makes me sick to my stomach.
It's sick.
Makes me want to stay in Europe forever.
I do have to say this kid, there's absolutely no way that this is a popular decision. And if the Democrats are smart, because reproductive rights did work in the midterms.
But this was a Supreme Court that decided.
Supreme Court, yeah.
And then did you see that clip of that senator, whoever he was, where they said, how do you feel about it? He said, I feel great.
Yeah.
They said, how do you feel about the people who were in the middle of IVF? Oh, yeah, that's complicated.
Right.
He didn't feel so great about that.
Not to mention, if you really want to play this out the full way, how are these Republican men going to feel having to, if they've done IVF or maybe they have embryos somewhere or whatever it is, paying child support on those embryos? That's actually a real conversation that's happening.
Oh, I hope they take it all the way. If that's what they're going to do. I hope every woman in, every mistress they ever had sues over a lost pregnancy
in Mobile.
Or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
Last year, the day I got home from the hospital with our healthy baby boy, my then fiance, a 7th-year neurosurgery resident, told me...
A doctor.
Yeah. Told me he'd been having an affair.
Whoa.
Crushing.
On the day that they got home from the hospital?
Oh my God. I read it and I didn't absorb it. My body rejected that math, Ronna.
Oh, I'm very
The
upset
day
now.
I got home from the hospital with our healthy baby boy, my
This
then
is the worst
fiance.
person that ever lived.
And by the way, it's not an accident. That baby came and that guy freaked out.
Correct.
Disgusting. He'd been acting
Is
strange.
there a worse look than a man
No.
who doesn't care for his offspring
No.
or isn't excited about the idea of an offspring?
No.
Just says, hey man, I can't do this.
It's a full, hey man, I can't do this. It really
Can't
is.
do this. Can't do this.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He'd been acting strange in the month or so leading up to my due date. And when I finally confronted him, he told me he had never loved me and never been attracted to me. And so began.
Finally confronted him. Okay. Anyway, I'm wondering if on the day she brought the baby home from the hospital, she had said, are you having an affair? But anyway.
And so began one of the most traumatizing years of my life. No kidding.
Awful.
Despite him only giving me drips and draps of facts like that, I was able to eventually figure out who the girl was, a third-year medical student, and that they'd only been seeing each other a few weeks when he decided to tell me, ugh. Further trauma occurred when they picked up their affair on Valentine's Day. Our son was exactly 1 week old, and he left me to fend for myself with our brand new child while he went back to work and disappeared every weekend to enjoy the Mardi Gras season. We live in New Orleans.
Oh.
I have no idea how I survived at that time.
I have no idea how you survived either.
I was convinced.
What you did. Yeah.
Yeah. I was convinced he was having a graduation crisis and threw myself into researching infidelity and relationships, determined to keep our family together. I started giving myself rewards for being, quote, nice to him every day. And I've literally never looked more gorgeous than I did 6 weeks postpartum. When Mardi Gras ended, the affair ended too, for the second and final time. I was horrified that he put me through so much pain for what amounted to a
Who
fling.
is that girl too? Disgusting. Yeah.
But I was so grateful to have him back that I accepted the situation and moved forward. I still loved him, and I'd been seeing a therapist weekly throughout the ordeal. It seemed like the right thing to do, and in many respects, our relationship seemed improved by the affair.
It can happen. People have a freak out. And then,
That's right. Come to their senses, maybe. Fast forward to May, and he started disappearing late at night on important dates like Mother's Day and my birthday. So this guy is allergic to real feeling. I mean, these are days when you celebrate the person you're with.
Yes, correct.
Somehow.
An actual psychopath.
Right.
What we have on our hands here. Or
Can't
a
handle it.
sociopath. Yeah.
Somehow I knew his affair with the med student was over, but I felt like something else was going on. I decided to cut myself some slack. After all, I was hypervigilant from the first affair, and it was possible my post-pregnancy hormones were affecting me.
He was disappearing.
Right. Our spring was busy with events, but the weekend after his graduation, I found myself alone in our house. Over the past couple of months, I'd become an amateur sleuth and found a house that he'd Ubered to the night before I was induced. And then I am in shock. And then another house in Uptown, that must be a neighborhood in New Orleans.
Yeah.
On one of the nights he disappeared. But on the weekend, while I was home alone with his laptop, I finally realized the Find My app showed his phone's location. The next day, I confronted him gently to say that I knew he was serious about devoting himself to our son and me, but could he please just admit that he's been sleeping with other people? I knew he'd been lying to me before, but this time he assured me with a flawless poker face that I was wrong and nothing was going on. Later that night, he went to a neurosurgery dinner. At 11 p.m., I woke up for some reason, guardian angel, and decided to check the Find My app. He was at the address in Uptown. I called my parents in Washington State after he ignored my single phone call and single text that said, I know where you are. This was the verification I needed. No longer would I have to suffer while he gaslit me. Later, he called me back, clearly walking to his car, all while continuing to lie about where he was and what he was doing. I had to explain that I could see his dot moving on the map. The jig was up. I felt elated by this turn of events because it means I could stop investigating. For the past 6 months, I'd been completely focused on this man and missing what could be my only child's first year.
Yeah.
Like the time before, he wouldn't tell me who it was. And once again, I figured it out. This was a different med student who had actually met. This guy has like a hero complex or something. I mean, like he just needs to be adored. and
Relieve
himself
they
from
often say
any
that those kind of
responsibility.
surgeons have a God complex. Right?
That's
He's
what
a
it is.
neurosurgeon.
Right.
He likes to feel invincible. He wants to feel desired, needed. But the truth is, he's an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
Or something.
An hour before you induced.
Yeah, but he also is just genuinely. I mean, look. We'll get to the bottom, but we'll get to the end of this. But the bad news is that there are bad people out there, and that
you're right.
Some people are just bad apples. And he may be brilliant and great at what he does. Probably is if he's a doctor candidate at Tulane. But that does not mean that he's a nice person, or that what he does him being a doctor has anything to do with helping people. It has to do with his invincibility. And what he's shown is he can't even care for his family, doesn't care for his family. I don't know what happened to him, what kind of household he grew up in, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't mean that just because you have money doesn't mean that your parents aren't monsters, et cetera, et cetera.
That's right.
But you need to read about 5 Nora Ephron books and move on. You know, this is heartburn.
Yeah. Go buy Heartburn by Nora Ephron.
Yeah.
Like the time before, he wouldn't tell me who it was, and once again, I figured it out. This was a different med student who I'd actually met the night before I was induced when we were at a crew debut party hosted for the neurosurgery residents. It later came out that he slept with her that night, then started an affair with her in May. You can't make these things up. He tried to convince me to stay. I let him take me to France, a trip we had planned for years, and I let him buy me a car, something I'd needed for years. I continued going to therapy, started dating, and moved into my own place. He wants to see our son all the time now, and I feel like I'm floating over my body anytime I have to interact with him. It's a great way to put it. With distance comes clarity, and despite my achievements, I don't think I've ever truly loved myself. I know people overcome this. I've read books by Brené Brown, Gabby Bernstein, and Nicole LaPera, and they make it seem so simple, but I have no idea what self-love feels like. I understand it as a concept, but not as a feeling that evokes security or peace. It doesn't seem to matter how much I exercise or how much time I spend with amazing people who build me up. I've always had hobbies that bring me joy and satisfaction. I'm good at things. I'm told I'm attractive. Why does self-love elude me? What does it even feel like? I've never been so passionate about a question in my entire life. Ronna, Bryan, I just know you're going to help me and so many others with your tender, insightful, and battle-tested answer to this question. Love you both. Please don't use my name. For me, actually, Ronna, you go.
Me?
Well, I don't
know.
You
had something to say.
Well, no, I know, but I feel like I always go first.
I think.
For me,
this is a rich thing to say coming from someone that hosts an advice podcast. But in many ways, to me, it's an industry.
I was about to say self-love is a concept, and it's hard to adhere to a concept. Really, it's something that probably should be taken minute by minute and day by day.
I'm not even sure that it's the right word for where people are trying to get to. Right. And that, I think, is important. I think that's what these people call, I drank a smoothie because I love myself so much and I feel like an incredible person now because I had a smoothie for breakfast. No. To me, this concept of self-love, we were talking about Martha Stewart. And I believe you said this on air, which was that, she's her own best friend, is what you said. And I think that's an incredible way to look at it, which is that you don't mind spending time in your own company. And that you care enough about that person to take care of that person, take care of their body, not put them in dangerous situations, give them a treat if they've had a tough day, whatever these things are. But the idea that anyone's walking around doing like a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you put your 2 hands on your shoulders and you pretend you're making out with yourself or like you're 6 years old, whatever that is. All of that to me is the algorithm, and it's nonsense. These women that are doing, or not just women, these people that are doing videos bathed in sunlight, drinking a smoothie, saying, woke up early and had but
It's
whatever
very
that is.
goopy, right? Yeah.
It's also, why don't people, it's
It's an
very
industry.
hard because it's an image. But then you have to remember, I always think, who took that video? Who's taking that camera? Who that is actually feeling the sun on their face is holding their phone 2 feet away and filming themselves? I mean, what are we doing as a culture? My feeling is I'm not saying it's all garbage, throw it away. But if there are things in from those influences or those books or this or that ring true for you, then I say follow those things. If you think, gosh, I'd love to sit on a beach by myself and read a book, then write that down. Okay? And, 7 months from now, when you can leave your baby with your parents for 2 days, then go do that thing.
Right.
Honestly, the thing a young mother wants most is just to be by yourself for 5 minutes. And then you're by yourself for 5 minutes. And then you think, oh God, I wonder if I told them where the wipes were. It's just constantly, it's a myth to think that you can hold all of these things all the time. You can't.
I also think that, as you mentioned, the self-love industry is something that you only can fail at because
such a good point.
Because it just is an expectation that isn't tangible and that isn't really easy to measure. You have good days and you have bad days.
24/7, whatever this is, every day posting something. They post something that's 30 seconds of their day.
Right.
I mean, a seagull shits on them 2 minutes later. They don't post that. Whatever it is.
I think one act of self-love, and then I'll get into specific things maybe I do and maybe they help you, maybe they don't.
Yeah.
One act of self-love is getting yourself out of a situation with a guy like this. Which you did. That is an act of self-love. Another thing that you did during this is you reached out to your parents and the people who could help you. And that is an act of self-love. And that you're protecting your child from a situation in which they may have 2 parents in one household. Maybe he's a great father. I have no idea. But you have 2 parents in one household that is not healthy, and this child could grow up seeing his mother who is miserable, and now you're not.
I mean,
now you've relieved your son of that.
Yeah, over and over again, he has not shown up for this child. I mean,
exactly.
Maybe he's doing better now, but this is going to be a come and go situation with him. He's not a stable parent.
That's right.
He's a shark swimming through the ocean. That's all he is.
For me, I think one act of self-love, these are, I guess, more tangible things. Oprah says this a lot, actually, and it really spoke to me.
And there's self-care and there's self-love, but yeah.
Yes, sure. Self-care is, as Ronna said, as a new mother, taking at least a half a day, if not more, somewhere and treating yourself. Yeah. I'm talking a spa. I'm talking being in the house alone, I just doing something really alone. Nice for yourself.
It's
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oprah, what did Oprah say?
Well, in terms of self-love, Oprah says that even though people may know what they want, they're afraid to say it out loud. And it's so true because it can be embarrassing.
Yes.
And by the way, you're the only one saying it. Sometimes people can't even say it out loud if no one else is home.
Yeah.
I think you could take a stab at it and say out loud the things that you want for your life. And I think that goes a long way. I also think in tough situations, and this is very cheesy, and it used to be in relation to if I felt I was being treated badly by someone, I would think if the 5-year-old version of myself was sitting next to me, what would I allow to happen to him?
Yes.
Would I allow that person to be bullied? Would I allow that person to be in a toxic relationship? That sort of a thing. Because it's really, I think for me, a visual way of taking care of yourself.
I think it's wonderful.
Where I think you don't, this is my problem with the self-love industry, is it's impossible to fill up. You're never there all the time. You just can't be.
Well, that's why it's an incredible industry. Because everyone's constantly on the journey and no one ever gets to the destination.
Exactly.
The destination is like one
with you for a minute.
Instagram post. I mean, really. And I'm not saying that the Brene Browns and the Gabby Bernsteins and the whoever aren't helpful to people.
No, they're forces for good. Yeah.
And I think that they provide a guideline or a framework, but nothing works for everybody.
No.
These are just the story of their lives and the things they've discovered that they talk about. But
you constantly hear about highly successful people saying, that should have been the happiest moment of my life. And it was my worst moment inside.
Yes.
It is so familiar to everyone, this issue. And it really is something you can just take day by day, whether it's affirmations, which actually I do believe in, whether it's meditating, whether it's watching out for your younger self, speaking into the world what you want. All these things help. But what really helps the most is taking yourself out of situations that make you feel horrible. And you did.
Yes. And that are dangerous. And I don't just mean dangerous like someone's going to walk into your house with a weapon. I mean dangerous to your emotional and mental stability.
And your self-worth. Yeah.
And I wonder about this person's past, because this is a ancient defense mechanism, I would say, which is if you can't feel it, you can't be hurt by it, sort of thing. That there is something dead in her when it comes to, or shall we say dormant, in her when it comes to this idea of having an opinion about herself. I have no doubt that she's a wonderful mother. I think it's incredible that she went through all of this and has been taking care of a child all by herself, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure she's a terrific person. She's tall. She's gorgeous. She's got a great job. But when it comes to loving herself or thinking that she is worthy enough, et cetera, it's like there's just no pulse there. And that to me has to come from somewhere. So it doesn't matter how physically attractive or outwardly successful you seem to other people. There is some defense mechanism that this person has put up for some reason. So something happened there where she said, this isn't safe. I'm not going to go there. It's not safe to have a high opinion of myself. It's not safe to want to take care of myself or whatever it is. And I think that's worth exploring with your therapist. And I think it's worth exploring whether in some way you're a little bit depressed. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But I will also say that Dr. Eliza, whose book, New York Times bestseller.
Yes.
Pardon me. 5 Principles of Parenting. Incredible. Something she often talks about is that the most damaging thing to a child is to have a depressed parent.
Right.
Not even necessary. I mean, obviously, probably an absent or neglectful parent, but really what a child needs is just someone who is present, that they can be attached to, who cares and showers them with love. And it really doesn't matter whether that's your birth mother or somebody else or a grandparent or whatever. You need to have a secure attached relationship in your life somewhere. But I don't say that to say to this person, red flag, you're damaging your child. I say this to say, happy mom, happy family. Let's put it that way. Happy caregiver, happy family.
That's right.
You sort of owe it to yourself to take care of yourself. But I don't think these things are instantaneous. And I think all of our lives are a complicated tangle of dynamics and obligations and financial issue, whatever. There's how we feel about ourselves. And then there's all of these forces that come to bear on our life. Right. And day to day, that can feel differently. And you could be on a good run, and then a parent will call you and tell you that they're sick. Right. And so all you can do is try and have a happy, stable, healthy home. Mm-hmm. And I feel honestly that the more that you focus on enjoying life's little wins, shall we say, the closer you will creep to that thing. But I do think clearly you need to, a flare needs to go off when you see the wrong guy coming from now on. We've done this now. Okay. We did it. We did it beautifully.
That's right. That's a
world's
great
worst
act of
man,
self-love.
and we had
is
an
being
incredible,
in tune. Totally.
But the best part is, and I've said this before about other relationships, you didn't come out with nothing. Okay.
That's right.
You are where you are. You've got this great kid. It's wonderful. Thank you. You could have spent all these years and gotten nothing. And I don't mean that, look, it has to be a kid. You got a house, you got a trip, you got a baby. Not that we need to do this kind of math in our lives. I'm just saying congratulations. That's how it worked out for you.
Right.
And now it becomes about you and your son and your next chapter together.
And I will also say that if self-love, as these people proclaim, is as easy as these steps, it's as easy as reading these books, people would be in therapy for 2 months and then be good.
2 minutes. You could read a book and then they'd never sell another one.
Right. It does not work that way. In fact, here's how it works or has worked for me. It takes me a year to think about setting a boundary. And then at the end of that year, I'm like, okay, I think I'm finally ready to try it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how it goes. And then you're happy you did it. And by the way, after you do it, there's still fallout from that. And you're still negotiating the aftermath of those things. It's incredibly complicated. And the goals are always shifting. That's why people really should be in therapy always. That's an act of self-love. I mean, not everybody. I can't say that. But for me,
yes,
I will always be in it. Yes. Because I constantly want to learn more about myself and also how I treat people and how I don't want to be treated and how I treat myself. Self-love is forever. And I will also say this, and it was none of the people you mentioned, but I know firsthand that some of the people who scream and shout the loudest about self-love treat people like true shit. And I'm talking about a couple
100%.
People who do that.
We're not talking about this list.
No, not anyone you mentioned, but other people who treat people like shit. So
of course,
their employees, their people in their lives, all of this.
And it's a performance on some
completely.
All of this.
And it's dangerous, actually. What is dangerous is people saying, watch this TikTok video and here's how you live your life. No one can do it.
But also, never mind the people that are making millions on this. Your dumb friend at the office who's bringing her lunch and her water every day and is trying desperately to be happier and is basically performing her rituals all over you. I mean, there are people that just get on with it and that's great. Or people that you see doing this kind of stuff and you feel inspired by them and that's wonderful. And then there are the people that are performing it all over the place. And all they're trying to do is get their anxiety at bay for 2 minutes and feel and act like they did something today, some kind of task.
Right.
And I think the way you feel is the way that so many people feel.
Everybody
and I also
practically.
Think, give yourself a break.
Big time.
You have just described some of the most traumatic years that anyone could ever imagine. And I include the birth and the raising of your child in that trauma. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't know whether you're attached to this idea that you have a baby and everyone thinks you're supposed to be happy, but that is not anyone's story. Okay? It doesn't mean these two things can always exist together. This is what life is.
You have had a hurricane and an earthquake within a minute of each other.
That's exactly right. And you've had to rebuild your house. And that is exactly twice.
Yeah.
And the only thing you can do, never mind self-love, just start with self-care. Okay? Take care of yourself, respect yourself. When something good happens, congratulate yourself. Give yourself a little treat. A treat can be a walk around the block.
That's great advice, Ronna.
I mean, really. We have, otherwise, what are we striving for in this life?
Right.
If you don't stop and acknowledge these wonderful moments, then you only dwell in the mediocre and in the sad. So what are we doing?
Right.
It's just this constant cycle of beating yourself up. Just start with a little self-care. That's all. And that doesn't mean, I took 7 weeks off because I needed to,
Sounds nice.
Wait, sounds great, but
right. Needed to go to Tibet or something, right?
Little victories.
Yeah.
And when you find yourself saying, "Oh, I can't believe I didn't do this," why don't you think about what you did do? Okay. But one thing
I like that advice.
Absolutely learned from this is that you're a survivor.
No kidding.
And that is no small thing. You are a resilient person. And I think resilience is so rare, truly. And you should raise your little guy to be a resilient little guy too. But I mean, I think a lot of times people are born with it. And that is no small thing. But maybe you've spent a lot of time dwelling in the surviving space instead of the just enjoying your life space.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me would be what self-love is. But this idea that people are wrapping themselves in cashmere with the sun on their face. I mean, these are advertisements.
Yeah, they really are.
If you saw someone doing that on the beach, you'd turn to me and say, did you notice that insane woman over there? Wrapping herself in a blanket and smiling.
Right.
Cackling at the wind. Cackling at the wind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give yourself a break. You're a pretty battle-tested, tough cookie, I'd say.
Yeah. And this shit's day by day. Like, I absorb so much of Ronna's advice right now and I feel good with it. And then tomorrow I might be like, you know what? I need a refresher on that. Like, that just.
Oh, please don't call me when you're looking for it.
No. And I'll call you for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. I got to be honest with you. This guy, can you imagine? Can you effing imagine the day you bring your baby home? Your man says, he's gone, not in love with you anymore. And you leave this woman not only with a child, but with her doubting herself, not loving herself, all of this stuff. I do stand by the fact, though, in the present day, the self-love industry, how it's actually not attainable for more than whatever the length of a TikTok video is how long you can love it, is how long self-love can be actualized. Honestly, it's something that is a constant struggle and a constant fight. And I will double down on the fact that this person leaned on her family, leaned on her friends, and is trying to seek a better life is so much self-love already. I also think the advice personally of thinking of your 5-year-old self, especially when it comes to relationships, and saying, would I set that person up with this young, sweet, innocent version of myself? Would I let them be set up with somebody like that? And the answer is no. Then it's not good for you, because that is you. That makes sense. I tried to give this advice to Ronna, but the problem is I can't even picture 5-year-old Ronna. I think it's just Ronna. It would just be, however old Ronna's admitting to today, 5-year-old Ronna would look exactly the same. So it would just be her talking to herself, essentially. So I don't know that method really works on Ronna. Okay. Everyone ready for this third one? We got a letter last year that we truly never thought we'd be able to top. Any fan of the Carriage House remembers Hannibal Liesel, aka Liesel, the frog killer. Shocking serial killer behavior. Hannibal Liesel, truly. Tony is the one who came up with the term Hannibal Liesel. And honestly, I hope he's selling it to Netflix right now. It was the cliffhanger to end all cliffhangers. But a month ago, we got a letter that truly makes Liesel look like Hansel. Do you understand? It makes Liesel look like all she was doing was trying to take a bite out of a house versus, bulldoze some bullfrogs. Okay? Ron and I were absolutely flabbergasted by this letter. So without further ado, here is Roberto, the straight hairdresser, and his brother. And his brother, I'm getting chills. This was a really, really, really gossipy, from the depths of hell kind of situation.
We had a letter on the free feed.
Knocked my socks off.
Okay. I did a search about the necrophiliac sexually transmitted disease.
Anything come up?
And I haven't had a chance to read these things yet, but I will tell you that there is one.
I don't want to know what your pop-ups are going to look like in a few days, Ronna.
There is one link that came up, one search link, and it is called The Pustulant Penis. Searching for STDs in the centuries before syphilis.
Just a reminder, I'm in Los Angeles. It's 11:15 in the morning.
Well, at least it's not lunchtime.
That's true.
I just thought that was a pretty graphic headline
That is
to have
might be the
pop
most
up on a
disgusting thing I've
search.
ever
So
heard in my life.
we will see what happens with my algorithm.
What
as a
ends
result
up
of
popping up
this.
for you?
I'm
I'm not clicking on that link. Are you out of your mind?
Oh, I think you probably will. It's like a medieval graphic or whatever.
Is it an actual picture?
No.
Okay.
But I haven't scrolled all the way down.
Oh, I'm not going to.
I might. That's the sort of thing I'm interested in. Okay.
Ooh. Oh. That looks like a Tostino or a combo.
A Tostino.
It does.
Do you like
it looks
combos?
like if you put everything in a bag of combos, one right after the other.
Are you a lover of combos?
It's been since college, but yeah.
Really?
I used to like them.
Why has it been so long? You don't allow yourself to eat that fake cheese anymore?
I mean, no. I'm not going to.
Were you a pizza combo or a cheese combo? Or
pizza.
What were you?
Pizza. Yeah.
That's where your Tostino reference came in from.
Exactly.
Dear Ron and Bryan, an indubitably scintillating guest. Now, this
I forgot. We're back with the critter cereal.
This letter, indubitably delicious. Mm-hmm. This was an instant classic, and I'm sure their blood is
this goes down
on
in history.
This one. Yeah. It should go without saying, but I am going to say it nonetheless. I am a huge fan of you both and of the podcast. I discovered it during lockdown, and I can say without over-egging the pudding of the compliment that your podcast...
I gotta say, hearing postulating penis and over-egging the pudding in a matter of a minute really is sending... And by the way, not to mention my lactose intolerance.
I was going to say, it's too much lactose for you.
It's way too much.
These words,
it's in every combo of this. This is the combo I don't want.
Yeah. That your podcast is one of the few unambiguously positive things to have come out of the pandemic, and it continues to be a weekly source of solace and delight. Well, I will just say we did start our show before the pandemic.
Just barely, but yes.
But maybe it came out of their pandemic.
That's right.
In accordance with the style book rules promulgated by the numinous Naomi Ekperigin, here is the log line for my question. I am writing to get your advice on a matter of ethics and etiquette involving hairdressing and the dead.
We're your people.
Okay? This is where they felt they needed to come, was here.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that should I be fortunate enough to have my question make it on air, whoever your guest is will be wonderful. But I cannot help hoping that the guest is the fabulous Naomi herself, as I would love to know her take on this matter. But fear not. I did not and would not submit this question to Naomi's podcast in addition to submitting it here, as I am a faithful listener and know full well that advice podcast double dipping is a cardinal sin.
It is.
True. It's also not the subject of Naomi's podcast.
No, it isn't.
Also, I can't think of anyone better qualified than Ronna to address what would otherwise have been my most pressing recent concern, whether to give up on feud, Capote versus the Swans, after the first episode in the wake of Naomi Watts as Babe Paley, pronouncing the name of Hermès perfume Kalesh as Kaleche. Yikes.
Yeah.
Seems like there must have been a typo in his script.
Could have been.
Are you watching Feud?
I haven't been, even
Let's
though I think it's I think I would love it. I just haven't started
Tom
it.
Hollander is one of the best actors working. So
he's amazing.
I'd love to see his Capote. Oh, I would watch it just for that.
And I think all of those the people in it are completely compelling and interesting and good actresses. So I would watch that.
Now on to my question with a bit of background for context. I grew up in a mid-sized western city with a historic downtown. Fort Worth.
Could be.
For years,
that's a good guess, actually. Yeah.
My mother has been getting her hair done at an establishment located in the historic downtown. I debated what to call the establishment, but given that it could be Denver, no, too big. Denver's more than mid-sized, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't call that a mid-size. I would call that a major city.
I debated what to call the establishment, but given the plaster statue of the Archangel Michael in the corner, Paula is probably more accurate than Salon. The parlor is owned by a man I'll call Roberto. Roberto is an older gentleman in his 70s, I would guess, and now retired from hairdressing. He also belongs to that exceedingly rare species, the heterosexual hairdresser. Off the top of my head, I can think of only 3 others. The Warren Beatty character in Shampoo, the husband of Angie Katsanevas, how do you say that?
Yeah,
On the Real
she's
Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City.
So we know it's not Salt Lake City they're talking about. And possibly the brother of that lady who founded the Pussycat Dolls, Jonathan Anton. But I
Right.
can't say I would vouch for all 3. Well, don't forget Neil Weisberg at Mesh Salon in Los Angeles. Excuse
John
me.
Peters back in the day.
Yes, before he was a movie producer.
Yeah.
He was the bassist of Shampoo.
Yeah.
I have always admired Roberto's entrepreneurial spirit and penchant for synergy. Not only does he own the building that houses his hair parlor, but also seizing on the fact that it is located cheek by jowl with what is perhaps the city's oldest and most distinguished funeral home. Roberto opened a business on the 2nd floor of his building to sell headstones. That is entrepreneurial spirit.
It really, I mean, it just screams Phaedra.
Yeah. Also, according to the lady who does my mother's hair, Roberto has a dove cote on the roof of the building where he keeps birds. I don't know what to call them. Doves? Homing pigeons? That he rents out for funerals. They are released graveside for that extra spiritual oomph and then make their way back to the rooftop quarters on Roberto's building. Wow.
Remember that lady who released the doves when Michael Jackson was found not guilty of a few counts of...
I do not recall that.
Oh, she was you keep reading. I'll find.
Please.
She was wonderful.
I spoke to my mother recently after she had her hair done, and she told me that she saw a man in the back of the parlor talking to Roberto. Isn't that Roberto's brother? My mother asked the lady doing her hair, and the lady confirmed it. But I thought he was in jail, my mother said. And the lady told her that he had just been released.
Here she is.
Mother.
She was wonderful. She released one for every count that he was cleared of.
She looks just like Debbie, though.
Who's Debbie again?
His wife, Michael
Oh
Jackson's
my God,
wife.
you're right. Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. Isn't that Roberto's brother? My mother asked the lady doing her hair. The lady confirmed it. But I thought he was in jail, my mother said. And the lady told her he had just been released. My mother had apparently heard a rumor, and the lady confirmed the whys and wherefores of the thing. Roberto's brother had gone to jail because it was discovered that he was engaging in necrophilia at the funeral home next door to the hair parlor.
Really dark. I mean, it's no less shocking than it was the first time we read it.
Feel free to omit the following information, as it may be too salacious for Ronna's delicate eyes and ears. When I asked my mother how the necrophilia had been discovered, she said the lady told her that the wife of Roberto's brother had gone to the doctor. Oh my God, he was also cheating on his wife with dead people.
With dead people.
The wife of Roberto's brother had gone to the doctor, who determined she had a venereal disease you can only get from corpses.
That is horrifying.
And she confronted her husband, and that is how the whole thing came out.
What an unbelievable violation in every possible way.
I'm too worried about my internet search history to look into whether such a venereal disease exists, but I'm just passing along the
just so
information
everyone's
I
clear,
received.
Ronna hopped right on it.
I
She
absolutely
didn't
did.
hesitate for a second.
I'm not a bit worried about my search history. What do I
No.
care?
No.
I want to know everything.
Yes.
Also, more importantly, this is such an Old West storyline that we have here
Big time.
in the historic
Jane
downtown.
Campion should direct this. Yeah.
Yes, this is a real necrophilia. Feels very Old West, doesn't
Power of the Dog.
it? Yeah. Oh God, remember that?
Yeah, remember that?
Who
That
was
feels
in it?
like this
Wes
somehow.
Bentley.
No, it was Benedict Cumberbatch and Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons.
Oh, Oh, that was the movie they fell in love on, huh?
Probably.
At any rate, my mother is due for another hair appointment soon, and she and I disagree. Here we go. About whether she should return to Roberto's establishment. I tell her it's reprehensible and unethical that Roberto allows his brother to be in there after what happened. And then I'm surprised the brother's release from jail didn't come with some sort of restraining order prohibiting him from being within 50 feet of dead bodies.
It's surprising.
And that she should not go back. She says that she's been going to this lady at Roberto's for years, that a good hairdresser is hard to find, and you can't just let one go like that, and that it isn't the lady's fault Roberto lets his brother in the place.
Does
Also,
it happen? Please. That someone reaches this, because this is how so many of our wonderful elderly people operate. Like, who cares? I mean, as if I've seen it all at this point, but like you really haven't seen that before.
But this still doesn't affect them in any way.
It just doesn't. They get to a point where they're like, yeah, well, I mean, but I like going, so yeah.
She's been on the planet long enough to know that a good hairdresser is hard to find.
I get, you know what? Honestly, but here's my other question: what does the brother do there? Did she say?
We don't. He doesn't even
just
work
hangs
there.
out.
No, he was just talking to him out the back door.
Okay.
So we don't even know that he's around. He just came to the door.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Also, she says that as she is still very much alive, she has nothing to fear from Roberto's brother. I suppose that's her idea of a joke, but I tell her it's the principle of the thing. Ronna, who's right in this case? And should I give up on Capote versus the Swans? Thank you for considering my question, and thank you in advance for what is certain to be a Solomonic response. With much love, they signed it, but we've decided, in the interest of the discretion for this historic downtown,
there can only possibly be one person with this name.
Yeah. I need somebody to Google historic downtown hairdresser funeral parlor.
Yeah. Hey, I'll do it right now. Well, they want to hear from you, Ronna.
They want to hear from me. Okay.
Huh?
First of all,
yeah,
I will say that the brother did his time.
You know what? I'm with you.
He did his time. That is the basis of our justice system. He did his time.
Now, does it make me nervous
that he's distasteful that he's in the candy shop?
Yeah.
You know, he's a little close to the candy shop for my taste. Yeah. But I don't know. Is Roberto employing him? If you were to tell me he has a chair at the hair salon or that he was doing your mother's hair, I would probably feel a little bit differently.
Me too. Yeah.
This is his brother. He came to see his brother at work. This is a small town, obviously. Does Roberto's brother have no shame? Definitely. No shame.
Roberto's brother's disgusting. Yeah. Sorry.
This is a necrophiliac, okay? Yeah. This isn't a guy with a lot of ideas about what's right and what's wrong. This is a guy that, I don't know how that happens to people.
I don't know if you are, I don't know.
I don't know. He's what we would call off.
Disturbed.
And do I think Roberto should show a little more discretion and probably tell him not to come around? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I think that is
maybe Roberto told him never, if you need something, you come through the back door.
Well, I'm going to guess that happened, but what he's even doing there. What you could have your mother do is say something to the hairdresser, and the hairdresser could say to Roberto, it's upsetting the customers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing. But it's really none of your business.
And why should Roberto be punished for the sins of his brother?
And why should Roberto's employee be punished for the sins of Roberto's brother?
Oh, she doesn't even see Roberto.
No, Roberto has retired from hairdressing.
Right.
She sees a woman at Roberto's salon, and Miss Nosy Nerdle here is trying to tell her mother that she can't go see this lady anymore. Because this salon is a house of ill repute.
That's not fair.
Ben, don't break, sweetheart. Your
Not
mother
everyone
getting her hair done there. She doesn't care. And the other thing I'd be excited about is that your mother knows how to get the gossip.
You gave us a gift today.
Isn't it fun if you have a mother who knows how to get the gossip and brings the gossip home like a little dead bird on the doorstep? Yep. Says, found this at the park, interested? But if you
also,
keep
what
castigating
you're saying,
her, she might not bring any gossip back to you anymore.
What you're saying, we agree with, that Roberto's brother's behavior is reprehensible. Obviously it is. I
Yeah.
just don't know how we're connecting him to the hairdresser your mother goes to. It just seems like
This establishment, she's saying, is supporting this. They're not the establishment is not drawing a line. But we also have to allow for the fact, of course, I mean, is he reformed? Gulp. I don't know.
right.
But don't we have to allow for that possibility? Isn't that what the justice system is supposed to do?
Yes. I mean, yes, but
I mean, does it really matter?
Does.
The point is, it's not Roberto who's doing your mother's hair. It's someone who works for Roberto.
Mhm.
Your mother likes getting her hands on there, and she likes being in the mix of the gossip. So what do you care?
Mm-hmm.
Reprehensible? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What do you
He
think?
doesn't work there. Well, he doesn't work there.
We
I think
don't
if
know
he
what
worked there, I
does.
would have some questions about why that was happening, and I would be uncomfortable being in close proximity with someone like that. I would, period. But yeah, he doesn't.
Funeral parlor, historic downtown, Western United States. What else have we got going here, sweetheart? Billings, Montana. They've got Smith Downtown Funeral Chapel. Could be that.
I know. I wonder if what would just come up is hairdressers who do, hair for like open caskets or something.
Yeah, oh, that's true. But I just put funeral parlor, historic downtown Western United States, and I came up with Bill. I didn't put in hair salon yet.
Yeah.
How about if I put in necrophilia? What would you call that? Violation of a corpse?
Necrophilia?
Well, in the law, in the eyes of the law, what do you think that is? Violation of a corpse?
I guess so. I don't know. You're not going to believe this, but I don't know the legal language that surrounds necrophilia.
All right, darling.
I mean, I don't know. Just let your mom do what she wants to do and to continue to get the goss.
Yeah, but
you're not asking her to get her haircut by this guy's brother, or even to go to a business that is giving this guy's brother money. I mean, just relax, I think.
There's all kinds of, by the way, when you do a Google like this, all kinds of stuff comes up.
Oh, I believe it, Ronna.
Yeah.
I mean, you're really on a tear.
Yeah. But I mean, there's all kinds of, people are desecrating corpses in different ways, left and right. Not necessarily that way, but in any event.
Wow. Well, Roberto's brother did do his time. I'm going to say that. He did. And I think I still stick by that advice. I don't think I would tell my mom to go see a new hairdresser because the person who owned the salon, it just is no. That's too many degrees. Okay. I think it's fine. But I got to be honest with you. And this is where I really need the ladies from the spy agency or the CIA or the FBI, wherever they worked for, to really hone in on Ronna's situation, because Ronna's search history from this, searching necrophilia and STDs you can get from necrophilia. Do people understand that Ronna's really got a sick brain? I mean, honestly, maybe it wasn't her facelift. Maybe Interpol intercepted her search history and Ronna's been arrested, and that's where she is. Also, this letter provoked something out of the one and only Naomi Paragon, who sent us an audio response that we did a Bryan's Romper Room episode on that was only available to Ronna's Private Reserve and Bryan's Romper Room. So we even played that and reacted to it because Naomi had some really strong opinions. Now, when I hear Naomi's voice, I typically tune out. So I can't entirely tell you what she said, but I can tell you from personal experience that her voice is constantly in my head. Okay? She's very negative energy. So whatever she said, I would just go ahead and take with a grain of salt, even though I actually can't remember what she said. But I'll just say this. This is something I've learned from these. The next time you feel your gut's telling you something is wrong, believe it. I know that Oprah says sometimes it starts with a whisper that something's wrong, and then it's like a little touch, and then it's a brick wall. Honey, this one was a brick wall. If you'd like to listen to all these episodes in their entireties, all the cliffhanger episodes, because we answer other stuff too, and future episodes, just join us at the Romper Room or private reserve levels at patreon.com/AskRonna. Don't forget the Shades of Vanilla newsletter goes to all the private reserve members as well. We're working on the May newsletter as we speak. Unbelievable. And it's a real dooz. Also join us for the Ask Ronna Social Club's second anniversary in June at arsocial.club or arsocialclub.com. We've got a lot planned to celebrate 2 years of all those gorgeous cocktails and kikis, and we'd love to have you. In the meantime, I can't tell you when Ronna's going to be back. I might be killed if I knew. We've got to keep this very secret. I bid you adieu.